No one delivers more exclusive interviews with ATA executives than CBT News. CBT News, dealers' #1 source for auto industry news, content, coaching, and analysis. You're watching Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.
Hey everyone, Jim Fitzpatrick. Thanks so much for joining me this morning. As we've learned, data is the real game changer, but are we using it to its full potential? Today, automotive marketing expert and the CEO of PCG Digital, Mr. Glenn Pasch, you've seen him here before on CBT News, joins us to dive further into how you can leverage data and ultimately sell more cars. Glenn has a brand new book coming out in April on this very topic titled The Road to Sold, a new approach to your online sales process. So you don't want to miss that, and we'll have it available right here at cbtnews.com, so you can click a link and get your own copy. So Glenn, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Well, thank you for having me, as always.
Sure. So let's jump in here. How is data helping dealerships improve the online sales process? That's a very open question, isn't it?
Yeah. So, you've done a really great job here at CBT being at the forefront of the discussions about data. And over time now, how it's evolved. You've had some guests on talking about the customer data platform, the CDP.
Right.
And so dealers are saying, great, now I'm going to get all of my data and more or less clean it up. It's that next step of how to leverage it. Now, the first piece is the marketing side, and everyone talks about that. How can I have more targeted advertising, making sure my messages are to the right person at the right time?
Sure.
I'm looking at it from another piece of data around that. I've been working very closely with the folks at Urban Science to really see where customers in a dealership CRM, when they purchase, but more importantly, what if they purchase from someone else? Mm-hmm. And now that data is available to dealers at a granular level to know that Jim bought from someone else. And now I can go in and I can look at that customer record. I can use it for training. I can see where maybe we lost that customer, and it could be through our marketing that we didn't give them the right message and we sort of push them to defect to someone else.
Sure. And being able to have that data now in the industry is phenomenal. I mean, this is not something that we had when I was in the industry. If we lost a sale, we didn't necessarily know where they went or what the deal was, right? So to have that at our fingertips now, what are some of the big mistakes dealerships make when it comes to using data?
I think they're overwhelmed by the amount of data. Yeah. And so they still have the mentality of, well, let me just push my one message out. Right. Instead of looking at it and saying, I should be able to do maybe 6 campaigns, 7 campaigns, from the service side. This person needs tires, but they don't need this type of service. Or someone who just bought a car, why would they get a tire ad? Right. That's where this idea of sometimes it's easy to push a button and push out a message instead of strategically being more like a scalpel versus just some big broad brush.
Sure. Can you drill down and talk to us about what that strategy needs to look like so that the marketing data does kind of meet their online sales strategy or marketing strategy?
Great. So if you think about again, we talk service, but let's talk sales. If someone is on my website and I engage with, some different of the VDPs or the SRPs or pages on my website, if I haven't given you my name yet and I'm just an invisible visitor, there's only so much I can do. Right. But the technology now that's out there, especially some of the CDPs, they're pivoting and looking at it differently. They're saying, yeah, we want to have those website visitors. We want to get them down so they give us their name. But what about the thousands, potentially hundreds of thousands of people who are already in your database? Wouldn't you like to know when they're back on your website without them submitting? And more importantly, what if I could see everything they did? Now I can reach out in a more thoughtful manner with a message, with an email, with a text, or maybe a phone call. Yeah. Where it's a check-in. It's not, hey, Jim, I saw you on my website, which is a little, big brother-ish. So that's more the strategy now of all these extra folks are back with us. And how can we leverage that data to turn it into more conversations, which eventually will lead to more sales?
Yeah, for sure. There are underutilized data points that dealers should be paying more attention to, right? There's no question. Let's further that conversation. What else do you see in that area?
Sure. So I think, based on Urban Science's data, so they track for the manufacturers, new and certified pre-owned.
Right.
If you access their data, they'll match people into your CRM and let you know when they bought. But they have a tool called Traffic View that can show me in my lead handling process where the defection's happening. And when you first see the data, it's astounding how many people in someone's CRM are buying from someone after day 8. And most of the processes are designed very early on, heavy in the first few days.
Sure.
Now, all of a sudden, that's a huge underused data point to realize maybe my long-term process, be it automated, be it with actual individuals, I'm letting people disappear. I attracted them, they first engaged with me, and now they're gone. So that's one huge data point that when dealers fix some of that strategy, and I'm working with some and they're doing it, all of a sudden they're retaining more of these customers. They're selling more in that second week, that third week that they never knew they were losing.
Right. And that makes sense. Hey, let's talk a little bit about your book that's coming out in April. What inspired you to write it, and what do you want the reader to leave with?
Well, I think over the last few years, as I've been working with dealers, from the marketing side, that has always been such a wonderful side of the business. But with my clients, sometimes I found that I wasn't really helping them end to end, meaning they would say, yes, I'm getting all this traffic, but I'm not selling. And so I started to dive into that side of it. And I saw a really large disconnect, not from a conversation which you hear a lot, which is, do I need a BDC, or should my salespeople handle leads? And it could be, do I need a service BDC? To me, it dawned on me that wasn't the right question. The question was, why, if I come onto the lot and I point to a vehicle, someone's going to ask me 20 different questions and maneuver me and help me. But if I submit that inquiry online, the only thing I'm asked is, when do I want to come in?
Right.
And so I started saying that post-COVID, where we were more helpful, we were more transparent, we did more things online. I think that whole way of treating your online customer has to be more like they're in person. And so I started working with dealers, and they were saying, you need to write this down. Everyone should have this. And so I wrote the book with an idea of how to connect your marketing, remove obstacles on your website that are causing friction. And then when you have your interaction with your customers and your team, focus on creating conversations which lead to appointments versus just, I want to set appointments. And so I'm hoping that the dealers will get something out of it, the managers of the teams will get something out of it, and the agents themselves will get something out of it, and they'll be unified in maximizing all these opportunities.
Yeah, for sure. And it's funny because there's some of these guys that are on TikTok that I follow that help consumers buy cars. Maybe you've come across them yourself, and they actually, they'll record their process when they call up a dealership and they want to get a number on a car, and they'll say, I'm interested, and I've got, I'm ready to buy. And man, dealership after dealership, the process that these dealers are putting these consumers through, which you can hear right there, in the recording and in the TikTok video, is just astounding. That here we are in 2025, and in large part, I know I'm painting with a very broad brush, so save the emails. For those dealers that are doing it right, great, keep doing it right. But I'm telling you, I feel comfortable in saying the vast majority of dealers out there are still going for I can't tell you the final price till you get here. I can't give you a trade allowance till you get here. I can't give you an interest rate. I can't give you a discount. I can't give you anything. When can you come in? When can you come in? And that's completely opposite of what today's consumer wants, right?
Absolutely. And to that point is that same dealer has technology on their website where if it's a digital retailing tool, I can pick an interest rate. I can pick a payment. I can get a trade value. And to your point, which is so spot on, is you're putting up barriers, which is forcing me to go to someone else who's going to be helpful.
That's right.
I personally think, and part of this book was also this idea of customers have so much information now. They need a dealer to help them sort through it.
That's right.
They used to need the dealer to give me the information. Now
Right.
I need a dealer to help sort through this. And the more helpful you can be, the more you can be conversational, the more you can answer questions.
Yeah.
I think that keeps that customer with you. But as soon as you put up those barriers,
Yeah.
they go, oh, here we go again. And they're going to go to the next one and the next one and the next one.
That's
and
right.
you're the cause of it, except you want to blame everyone else for it.
That's right. That's right. It's probably a good exercise for dealers and managers to go on to some of these websites that where they are very consumer facing and they're giving information about the best deals out there on cars, and some are getting millions of views and they're getting millions
Sure.
of followers. But it's very interesting to read the comments because they're very negative on the process at a dealership, one after another, And some will even mention, when it comes up to Tesla or it comes up to Rivian or Lucid or some of the companies that are selling direct to consumers, and I'm not an advocate for that, I just want to say that on the outset, but they have a point in the sense that on your phone you can buy a Tesla in about 30 minutes and have no friction at all.
Right.
You can't necessarily do that on the thousands of dealerships that are out there. There's a lot you
Well,
can,
yeah.
which is great, but not
But you
enough.
also have a lot of trims, like Tesla.
Yeah.
It's easier because it's more commoditized. It's
Sure.
you get this or that or
Right,
this.
right.
But I agree with you, and I think some of the dealers that are looking at it and saying, "I will give you my price." It may not
Right.
be the final price, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about a trade. There's no reason that I can't say, "Here's a range."
Yeah.
And if someone says, "Well, KBB gave me this range, what will you give me?" And you
Right.
say, "Well, I'll give you." Let's say it's 25 to 27. I'll give you 25.
Right.
The person's going to say, well, I want more. And then you can explain, well, that's why I need to just see the car. I'll love to give you more, but at least you didn't say no on the outset.
Yeah.
And then more people would say, okay, that makes sense. I'll come in.
Sure.
And I think that idea of being helpful, being conversational,
Right.
answer their questions, because if you don't, they are going to go down the street.
Yeah.
Like the idea of, well, if I tell them they're going to go down the street, they're definitely going down the street if you don't tell them.
Right,
And this, I still, to your point, I still think even through COVID, it's the most amazing thing. Like it's we've had the internet for a long time and COVID, and we did all these things. There is still an undertone of someone, that online shopper is not as serious as someone who comes here. And it just astounds me that we still have that conversation.
I know.
Versus embracing it
Yeah.
and doing as much as you want. And those that do it, it's amazing how many more appointments they have.
That's right.
How many more cars they sell, how many more happy customers they
That's
have.
right.
Because it's not simple to buy a car, but I don't have to make it difficult.
That's right. Let me ask you this. If it was Glenn Pasch Toyota, wouldn't you love to be a Toyota dealer, by the way? So if it was Glenn Pasch Toyota, what price would you have on your cars on your website? Would they be already discounted? Would they be MSRP? Would they be slightly discounted? What would that look like? What would you do at your own store?
I think that, well, it depends on the brand and it depends on what their restrictions are, and if you have sort of map pricing where I can't be below MSRP. But I think it's more the fact that I think it's not even price, because I think it's also your reputation and advertising your process and having that, because you had I think you had Andy Wright on the other
Yeah.
day, and I was watching his interview. So it's not price. I could discount my price all the way down and then come in with surprise, it's 5,000 more and stuff. So
Yeah.
I think it's dealers really need to double down more on their reputation,
Yeah.
their process, explain it, and then deliver on that.
Yeah.
Because I could discount and have a horrible experience. I could put
Right.
it MSRP, have a great experience. I think it's creating more advocates around that you have such a great reputation in town that they take care of you. They're straight. They're not playing games. I think
Sure.
that, to me, is more important than where I price it, because I can't control my competition.
That's right. That's right. Well, now that you mentioned that you saw Andy Wright's interview, which was a good one, he's a great guy, great
Yes.
spokesperson for our industry, or one of them, one of the thought leaders out there. His topic was the fact that you've got so many third-party people out there such as Cars.com and Auto Trader and not Autovitel. I don't know what they're doing these days, but Car Gurus and all of the others that are putting these best price, best deal, everything else out there, when in reality, we all know that that's not necessarily the case. What is your take on that? He's saying that these third parties need to police that better and make sure that everyone's on the same sheet of music or the same playing field.
I think that's more, I think, I understand both sides. And I think it is, and I don't want to be a both sidism type of person, but I understand what Andy's saying.
You should run for office, Glenn. You should be the run for office.
I know what Andy's saying because some of my clients are the same thing. There's always that one dealer in the market that is down below you 3,000 or 4,000, but then when they go in, it's extra this and extra that, and the poor person's there, and they well, I can't leave. I'll just get it done. I hate the whole experience, but I do it.
Yeah, and then the rationale that, well, probably the other guys are doing that too. So
yeah. So I think that, yes, I think that the platforms themselves could dive in a little bit more on that. But also they're looking at it going, we have to trust the dealers, because it could just be Andy's mad at this person and he's saying that Glenn's dealership's playing these games, and maybe they are, maybe they're not. I think it's more the manufacturer. I think Andy's focus should also be upward to the manufacturer and saying, okay, going back to Toyota, why Toyota are you allowing that person to do that?
Yeah.
That's dishonest. That hurts the brand more than the platforms. I think it's going to be, from a dollars and cents standpoint, I don't know that they have the bandwidth to go police everybody and verify everything. That's a big ask for the thousands of dealers that are on a Cars.com or any of these platforms.
Right. Yeah, good. Very, very good point. Very good point. So with all that's going on out there, you've got your hand on the pulse of what's happening in retail automotive. Where the president now is, I guess, a couple of months in, made some very bold moves with regard to tariffs and such. And what's your take on what's the vibe out there among the dealers that you work with? Concern about the industry or the economy or any headwinds?
Well, what I've heard is it's whatever side of the fence you stand on. If you like what he's doing or you don't like what he's doing, right. I think it's more I don't think anyone really is comfortable in the land of indecision or uncertainty. Yeah. If he had just put a tariff and say, that's it, we're not changing it, you can grumble, you can do, then everyone knows how to pivot, right? The automotive industry is an amazing industry because they can, once they know where we're going, we got to buckle down, we have to do it, we'll figure a way out. I don't think anybody is feeling good about, well, it's on, it's off, it's on, it's off. Right. Nobody can figure out which way to go. Right. And I think that's causing more uncertainty because they can't even get they don't even know from the manufacturer, because they're going to go up to the manufacturer and the manufacturer's going to say, we don't know what's going on either. And nothing is fast. So I think right now everybody's just putting their head down and saying, let's just handle the leads we have. That's out of our control. Yeah. Let's try to do the best with what we have and what we can control.
That's right. That's right. Yep. It's certainly fun to watch, but it is concerning. Well, we will see how all of this shakes out. But I agree with you. The auto dealers are very resilient. They've been through so much out there, and in the long run, Trump says, "Trust me, this will work out for all of us in the long run, and we'll build a stronger economy."
We have him in office for the next 4 years, right? And it's like I said, the last 4 years, you had half the people who loved what was going on, half the people hated it, and now it's the other way. I just wish there was less division around that. But I think some of these topics we're going to be talking about at our conference in April, the Digital Marketing Strategies Conference at the end of April, because we try to keep everything current and relevant. Right. These are some of the things that we're talking about because of the uncertainty around.
Sure.
What's going to happen, not even just now, but where are we going to be a year from now, 2 years from now?
Right. When is that conference, and are there still...
That is April 27th through the 29th in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Nice place to have a conference, for sure. No question about it. And highly recommend that you get out there if you can. For those dealers that are listening to us, the Pasches never disappoint. They always put on a first-class event, and you'll learn a lot. So Glenn Pasch, the new candidate for the third party, which I'm excited to announce here, but CEO of PCG Digital, knocking the cover off the ball and working with dealers every day and helping them move more cars and service more cars. So thank you so much for joining me. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks for watching Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.